Human versus system. Hi. We come into this world without a manual. Like all animals, we are given just a small set of predetermined instructions. Vague as they may be, we do seem to interpret them pretty much the same. Survive, drink, eat, be safe and reproduce. Our complexity comes from our social element. Given our natural lifespan and raw nature as a solo animal in history, we don't even excel at anything that impressive. That is, until we started working together. Through language and storytelling, we gave some part of our individuality to continuity, and that made all the difference for us. This ability to work for a concept and not for individual needs meant that we could continue working at something for as long as circumstances allow it and alignment in goals remains. I find the Japanese tradition of rebuilding temples an incredible example of this. Ise Jingu has been rebuilt every 20 years for an estimated of 1,300 years. This comes with a philosophical dilemma, a question of one's physical nature. If you have a boat and replace one plank each day, at what point is it a different boat? Same goes for our own bodies. If all our cells are basically replaced every 7 years or so, at what point do we consider ourselves to be a different human? Perhaps what binds us isn't the material, but the alignment in goal. But this ability is not without the price. In following a goal for longer than one's life, it is easy to lose track of the point. Tradition can overtake goal or meaning, and we enter the territory of a ritual. The danger of this is that I think we often start these ambitious tasks for the benefit of all, and there's always a chance they end up as a burden to many and benefit to none. In many ways, this to me seems to be a deep-root flaw in the structure of our modern society. We seem to have lost some goals along the way, but we soldier through because these elements are so intrinsically connected that we're afraid that should we stop one, the whole structure might collapse. Our ability to question, dismantle, re-establish in some cases appears to be unimaginable. And most often the systems that need this the most are the ones most difficult to approach. Of course, I'm going to put the education system on the spot here. The most developed countries seem incapable of reconsidering the factory worker education setup for several decades now. We've seen so many reforms fail. It's almost as if by intention or even design. Because what reforms usually have in common is shuffling the same content, perhaps with a fresh coat of paint, and calling it innovation. No one is fooled by that anymore, but true reform seems to be as impossible as it was years ago. The intention of teaching the youth using the best methods seems to not be there. And when I ask myself if that might just be the case, I do see a link. One that connects all of the idealistic solutions we have and answers the question, why don't we just do that? The simple root cause I see is power. Ever since humanity started having any kind of hierarchy, the questions about power in their nature remained the same. The top always fears the bottom because humans are very imaginative when it comes to conflict. There is no fair, because we understand what fair is, and when it comes to war, winning is about everything but. Historically, we seem to spin in circles. We know it, it's not a secret. We can't seem to get out. Why? A great irony I often see is that society as a whole tends to sometimes behave as a hive mind, but one that is disjointed and affected by choice paralysis. It's almost as if we are bird-like. We can create those huge formations to fly together in, but that's it, that's the cap. To come to some kind of intelligent understanding and goal alignment seems to break the hive mind. I guess the hive mind can only ever be reactive, driven by emotion. The moment any individual goal, any agenda appears on the table, the hive mind is immediately broken. It's almost as if the hive mind is capable of feeling and by extension connecting, but not thinking. Feeling brings us together, processing information, thinking breaks us apart. This to me explains so much. The entire climate and the state of political debate around the world for one. This focus on us versus them, the degradation of merit to the point of demagogy, the constant aggravation of the other side. I'm sure that politicians know, I'm sure they do it on purpose, and I'm sure they have the exact predictions on the effectiveness of these strategies. I wish we were smart enough to use this to our advantage instead of this being used against us. But for now at least, I can't figure out if that's even a slight possibility under any conditions. We are just too easily broken apart. Here's something that has always baffled me. We come into this world, into these pre-existing systems that don't offer an endgame goal. They actually try to avoid the endgame goal because at that point they become more than worthless. We come into this world with a predetermined result: death. We're so afraid of it that it's not really discussed. It's like a dirty little secret parents keep from their kids, so they aren't traumatized by this knowledge too soon. I would argue that that's not always the case where life is a gift and death a curse. It can be the other way around. Yet, we, on an almost unconscious level, feel or know that creating life is not without a price. It's not all white. There's darkness in the process, which we're so terrified to look at. So we pretend that it's all fun and games, death doesn't come until you're old, and you're always gonna be happy because you got this great gift of life from your parents. Now go and learn skills so you can buy stuff. Perhaps that is just everyone's first pantomime. But what if this first lie, this first hidden secret, this dirty truth that we are so desperately trying to hide is the first corruption? The problem is not the difficulty of death, but the fact that we make this difficult. We make a dirty little secret hidden from sight, cowering in the corner. How can we deal with the one inevitable thing in our life if we cannot look her in the eye? It took me many decades to discover that parents are often also children. In many ways, we never stop being kids. There's always some part that lives on. And even in the saddest individuals, that part can be nourished and restored. Perhaps that is why we so often think we know better. That we can save someone, ourselves, from pain, even if it's just a postponement. But I think the issue here is not the truth itself, it's more about the way we share it. If done through fear, avoidance, uncomfortable silence, shame and guilt, there can be no room for growth, for it to thrive. But through love, acceptance, understanding, patience, care, any truth can be handled. I think the issue here is that the teacher needs to have the tools, has to be done with these lessons himself. And that is not a common thing. It has to be first-hand experience to be meaningful and credible. These imperfections in the systems we live in bleed through all the time. As an adult, when I truly see that everyone is sort of faking it in adulting, once you're able to see the cracks, you sort of never can be intimidated by anyone anymore. It's like staying in the theater for too long, being able to witness the first hand how it's all prepared, played out and cleaned up after, and that ends the mystery. Perhaps the entire secret is that imperfect systems create imperfect humans who in turn perpetuate imperfect systems, or the other way around, same difference. But if that's all to it, then it means we're completely blind, incapable of change, and I know it cannot be the case. I think the answer lies in the struggle between easy and hard. In seeing a higher vantage point and choosing it over self-interest. Looking past yourself and your interest may not be easy, but ultimately necessary. After all, we are all connected. To the environment, to each other. Separation is only the illusion of our daily lives. Perhaps it's high time we wake up from the dream of individuality and smell the fertilizer, the rot and the growth that makes life possible. Thank you so much for watching.